The kitchen knife trembled in Zara Phoenix's hand as she pressed her back against the granite counter. Blood dripped from the blade, not hers. The rookie hitman, named Tommy, lay sprawled on the floor 3 feet away, clutching his shoulder and gasping like a drowning man. His gun had skittered under the refrigerator when she'd slashed at him in pure, animal desperation. "You stupid bitch," Tommy wheezed, his young face contorted with shock and rage. "You have no idea what you just did." Zara's entire body shook. She'd never hurt anyone in her life. She delivered food. She paid bills. She made sure her little brother Jamal got to class on time. And now there was a man bleeding on an expensive marble floor because of her, and 2 more killers somewhere in this penthouse apartment, and she couldn't even remember how to breathe properly. "Shut up," the Korean man beside her hissed. Kang Ji-hoon, the target, the man she'd been delivering takguk and Korean fried chicken to when hell broke loose 5 minutes ago. He grabbed her arm, steadying her. "Listen to me. You did what you had to do." But his friends heard that. "They're coming." As if on cue, heavy footsteps echoed from the hallway. Deliberate, unhurried. The sound of men who knew their prey had nowhere to run. Have you ever been in the wrong place at the wrong time? Drop a comment below and let us know your story. And if you want to see how Zara survives this nightmare, hit that like button and subscribe because this story is about to get intense. But let's back up. Let me tell you how a 26-year-old delivery driver ended up fighting for her life in a luxury penthouse with a knife in her hand and a Korean Mafia boss at her side. Because 12 hours earlier, on New Year's Eve 2025, Zara Phoenix was just trying to make rent. Seattle's rain hammered against the windshield of Zara's beat-up Honda Civic as she checked her phone for the 14th time that evening. December 31st. Everyone else was getting ready for parties, champagne, countdowns to midnight. Zara was working. 3 delivery apps running simultaneously, each one pinging with orders that barely covered gas money. Her wipers squeaked across the glass in a rhythm that matched her growing headache. Come on, she muttered, waiting for something, anything with a decent tip. The rent was due in 3 days. Jamal's textbook bill had come in yesterday, $300 she didn't have, and her phone bill was already 2 weeks late. The phone buzzed. Finally, high-end address, Korean restaurant, estimated tip $55. New Year's Eve search pricing. Thank you, Jesus, Zara breathed, accepting before anyone else could snatch it. She pulled out of the gas station parking lot, already calculating. 55 plus the 18 from earlier, minus gas, minus the phone bill payment, carry the 1. Her brother's face flashed on the screen. Video call. Z. Jamal's grin filled her phone. Behind him, she could see his dorm room decorated with streamers. His roommate was in the background, laughing at something. Happy almost New Year. You coming home for the countdown? Zara's exhaustion melted into a smile that actually reached her eyes for the first time that day. Baby boy, I wish. But I got orders stacked. New Year's Eve is big money night. I'll text you at midnight, okay? You're always working, Z. His voice got softer. You know you don't have to do this alone, right? I could get a job, help out. No, your only job is school. You got that economics exam next week. How's the studying going? Good. Really good, actually. Professor Yang said if I keep this up, I might make Dean's List this semester. Pride swelled in Zara's chest. That's my boy. Mom would be so proud. Their mother's death 3 years ago had left Zara as the only thing standing between Jamal and a system that ate kids like him for breakfast. She dropped out of community college, picked up every job she could find, and made herself a promise. Jamal would finish what she couldn't. Jamal would get out. I gotta go, delivery's waiting, Zara said. Big tip potential. We might actually eat something other than ramen next week. Be safe out there, Z. It's crazy on New Year's Eve. Always am. She ended the call and focused on the GPS 15 minutes to the restaurant, another 20 to the drop-off address. High-rise building downtown. The kind of place where people had doormen and marble lobbies and never worried about making rent. The restaurant owner, Mrs. Kim, had the order ready when Zara arrived. 2 large bags, packed carefully. Special New Year's order, the old woman said, her eyes concerned. Very expensive. You be careful tonight. Lots of drunk people on roads. I'll be fine, Mrs. Kim. I do this every night. But as Zara drove toward the high-rise, her Civic started making a sound it had never made before, a grinding, wheezing protest from under the hood. The check engine light blazed to life on her dashboard like a small sun of doom. No, 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 not tonight, Zara pleaded with the car. Just get me through tonight. Please. It's New Year's Eve. I need this money. The Civic shuddered, coughed, and died 2 blocks from the delivery address. Dead. Completely dead. Zara wanted to scream. She wanted to put her head on the steering wheel and just give up. But the order was getting cold, and that $55 tip was the difference between keeping the lights on and sitting in the dark for a week. Plus, the customer had sent 3 messages asking where she was. She grabbed the delivery bags and started walking. The rain had slowed to a drizzle, and the streets were filling with people. Partygoers in glittery dresses and suits, groups of friends laughing and stumbling between bars, couples kissing under streetlights. Everyone celebrating. Everyone happy. Everyone except Zara, trudging through puddles with Korean food getting heavier with each step. Her phone buzzed. The customer, running late? We'll add extra $20 if you hurry. Need food before midnight. Zara picked up her pace, her sneakers splashing through puddles. $75 total now. That was huge. That was 3 days of normal deliveries in one trip. The building loomed ahead, all modern architecture and expensive lighting. Floor-to-ceiling windows revealed parties happening on multiple floors, people dancing, drinking, celebrating the arrival of 2026. Zara pushed through the revolving doors into the lobby, and that's when she noticed something wrong. The doorman's desk was empty. Not just empty, abandoned. A half-eaten sandwich sat next to a security monitor, steam still rising from a coffee cup. The chair was pushed back at an odd angle, like someone had gotten up in a hurry. A party hat lay on the floor, and she could hear muffled music from somewhere above. But down here, the silence felt thick and wrong. Zara hesitated. Every instinct screamed at her to turn around, to call the customer and cancel, to just go home. But $75. Jamal's textbooks. The electric bill. Her dead car that would cost hundreds to fix. She stepped inside. The lobby was decorated for New Year's, silver and gold balloons clustered in corners. A banner reading, Happy 2026, stretched across the concierge desk. But there was no one to see it. Just Zara and her rapidly cooling Korean food, and a feeling in her gut that something was very, very wrong. The elevator bank gleamed ahead. She pressed the button for the 23rd floor, watching the numbers climb while her reflection stared back at her from the mirrored walls. She looked exhausted. Dark circles under her brown eyes, hair pulled back in a messy bun, her delivery jacket stained with rain and whatever sauce had leaked from someone's order 3 days ago. This wasn't the life she'd imagined at 18. But then again, she'd imagined her mother would still be alive. The elevator chimed. 23rd floor. The doors opened onto a hallway that screamed money, soft carpet that swallowed sound, modern art on the walls that probably cost more than Zara's entire year of income, recessed lighting that cast everything in a warm, expensive glow. She checked the apartment number on her phone. 2307. Into the hall. Her phone buzzed again. Same customer. Are you here? Please hurry. There was something in those words. Not impatience. Fear. Zara's steps slowed. She should leave. She should turn around and walk away and lose the $75 and deal with the consequences. But she thought about Jamal's face on the video call. Thought about the pride in his voice when he talked about making Dean's List. Thought about the promise she'd made to their dying mother. She reached door 2307 and knocked. Once. Twice. She heard movement inside, footsteps approaching quickly. Then she heard something else. Behind her, the stairwell door opening with a soft pneumatic hiss that sounded too loud in the quiet hallway. Zara turned. 3 men emerged into the hallway like something from a nightmare. The first was older, maybe 50, with gray at his temples and eyes that looked dead, even though he was clearly alive. The second was younger, precise-looking, wearing gloves despite the building's warmth. The third was barely older than Jamal, with wild eyes and a hand inside his jacket, gripping something. Something in Zara's stomach dropped like a stone into deep water. The older man, Marcus, saw her and stopped. His eyes calculated distances, angles, problems. The woman was a complication. Witnesses were complications. Complications got cleaned up. His hand moved toward his jacket. Wrong floor, Marcus said calmly, his voice smooth as poisoned honey. You should go. But it was too late. The apartment door swung open. Kang Ji-hoon saw Zara first. Just a delivery driver, a young woman with bags of food and confusion written all over her face. Then his eyes tracked past her to the 3 men in the hallway, and his blood turned to ice. He knew those faces. He'd seen their files in the federal prosecutor's office 6 months ago. Marcus Volkov, the butcher of Brighton Beach. Ivan Kozlov, the surgeon, they called him, for how precisely he worked. Tommy Chun, the prospect, young and eager to prove himself. Time fractured into 1,000 shards of crystal. Ji-hoon's hand shot out and grabbed Zara's jacket, yanking her through the doorway with strength born of pure survival instinct and 20 years of staying alive in a world that wanted him dead. Zara yelped in surprise, the delivery bags flying from her hands. The door was already swinging shut when the first gunshot cracked through the hallway like thunder in a bottle. The bullet punched through the wooden door, missing Zara's head by inches. She hit the floor hard, all the air exploding from her lungs. The food containers burst open, covering the expensive hardwood with taeguk, rice cake soup that was supposed to bring good luck in the new year, and Korean fried chicken that now looked like a crime scene. What? Zara started, but Ji-hoon clamped a hand over her mouth. Quiet. He hissed in accented English. They will kill us both. Do you understand? They will kill us both. Another gunshot. The door shuddered. Zara's mind couldn't process what was happening. She delivered food. This was supposed to be an easy delivery. $75. Go home. Text Jamal at midnight. Watch the fireworks from her apartment window. This wasn't real. This couldn't be real. Who are you? She whispered, her voice cracking with terror. Someone who made enemies. Ji-hoon was already moving, pulling her up. His movements were efficient, trained, nothing like a normal person. Someone who thought he was safe. I was wrong. And you? He looked at her with something like regret. You were unlucky. The door exploded inward. Tommy came through first, gun raised, face twisted with the eagerness of youth and violence. He was 22 and stupid and wanted to prove himself to Marcus and Ivan. That made him dangerous in a different way than his partners, reckless where they were careful, emotional where they were cold. Ji-hoon shoved Zara toward the kitchen and threw himself behind the couch. Tommy's gun tracked them, finger tightening on the trigger. This was it. This was how Zara died. On New Year's Eve. In a stranger's apartment. And Jamal would get the call tomorrow, and he'd be alone. Zara's hand found the entryway table. A heavy crystal vase, probably worth more than her car. She grabbed it and hurled it with everything she had. With all the fear and rage and desperation of someone who refused to die tonight. It hit Tommy square in the face. Not hard enough to knock him down, but hard enough to make him stumble, hard enough to ruin his aim. The shot went wild, punching into the wall and sending up a spray of drywall dust. Run! Ji-hoon shouted. They ran. The apartment was enormous. One of those luxury penthouses that took up half the floor. They crashed through a dining room with a table that could seat 12, past a living room with floor-to-ceiling windows showing the Seattle skyline lit up for New Year's Eve, toward what Ji-hoon hoped was sanctuary. Behind them, Tommy was screaming. I'm gonna kill you both. You hear me? Both of you. Marcus's voice cut through, cold and professional. Tommy, shut up and secure the exits. Ivan, take the bedrooms. She's seen our faces. No witnesses. Zara's legs felt like water. No witnesses. She was going to die. She was going to die in some rich man's apartment. And Jamal would come home from his New Year's party tomorrow to find out his sister was gone, just like their mother, and he'd be alone in the world. Here. Ji-hoon pulled her into the kitchen. It was massive, all stainless steel and granite countertops and appliances that probably cost more than Zara made in a year. He went straight to a drawer and pulled out a gun, checking the magazine with practiced ease. Zara's eyes went wide. You have a gun? I have many things. He moved to another drawer, pulled out a chef's knife with an 8-inch blade. He pressed it into Zara's shaking hands. Can you use this? Zara looked at the knife. She'd used knives to chop vegetables, to open packages, to cut birthday cakes for Jamal. Never to hurt someone. Never like this. The blade caught the light, and she could see her reflection in the steel. Terrified, trembling, transformed into someone she didn't recognize. I don't know, she whispered. Then learn fast. Ji-hoon positioned himself by the kitchen entrance, gun raised. His face was calm now, focused. This was a man who'd lived with violence. Who understood it? When they come through that door, you aim for the body. Center mass. Do not think. Do not hesitate. Hesitation kills. Do you understand? I have a brother, Zara heard herself say. He's in college. He needs me. I can't die here. Something flickered in Ji-hoon's eyes. Pain maybe. Recognition. I have a daughter. I have not spoken to her in 3 years because of the life I chose. Because I was a coward who chose money over family. His voice got quieter. If we survive this, perhaps that changes. But first, we survive. You understand? Zara nodded, though she didn't understand anything. Not how she got here. Not how to use this knife. Not how to become someone who could hurt another person. Footsteps in the apartment. Slow. Methodical. Professional. Ivan's voice drifted from somewhere near the bedrooms. Clear. Marcus answered from another direction. Living room clear. They're in the kitchen. Only way out. Tommy's voice, younger and angrier. Let me go first. I owe that bitch for my face. No. Marcus's voice was firm. You go in angry, you go in stupid. Ivan takes point. You back him up. I'll cover the exit. They were coordinating. Organizing. These men had done this before. Many times before. Zara was going to die because she'd knocked on the wrong door at the wrong time on New Year's Eve. I can't do this, Zara whispered. I can't. You can. Ji-hoon glanced at her, and his hardened expression softened just slightly. You already did. You threw that vase. You acted when most people would freeze. That is courage, Zara Phoenix. Now you just need to do it again. How do you know my name? The delivery app. I saw your profile when I ordered. He almost smiled. You have good reviews. 4.9 stars. Very impressive. Despite everything. The guns, the terror, the impossibility of this moment. Zara almost laughed. I'm about to die, and you're talking about my delivery rating? If we are going to die, we might as well know each other's names. The kitchen door crashed open. Ivan came through like a ghost, silent, efficient, his weapon tracking in smooth arcs. He was the surgeon. Precise. Deadly. He'd killed 17 people in his career and never left evidence. Never made mistakes. Ji-hoon fired. The shot caught Ivan in the shoulder, spinning him around. But Ivan was good. Even wounded, even surprised, he got a shot off. The bullet grazed Ji-hoon's arm, and he stumbled back with a grunt of pain. Tommy charged in behind Ivan, and this time he wasn't making mistakes. His gun swung toward Ji-hoon's head, finger on the trigger, death a split second away. Zara moved without thinking. Pure instinct. Pure desperation. Pure refusal to watch another person she barely knew die in front of her. She lunged forward, the knife clutched in both hands like her mother had taught her to hold a baseball bat. Firm grip, committed swing, follow through. Tommy saw her too late. The blade caught him in the shoulder, not deep, but deep enough. The shock of it, the reality of steel and flesh, hit Zara like a physical blow. Tommy screamed. The sound was animal, raw, disbelieving. You stabbed me. You actually stabbed me. Ivan was already recovering, raising his weapon again despite the blood spreading across his shoulder. Ji-hoon fired twice more. One shot went wide. The second hit Ivan in the leg. The surgeon went down, professional enough to roll behind the kitchen island for cover, professional enough to keep his weapon ready. Move. Ji-hoon grabbed Zara and hauled her toward the pantry at the back of the kitchen. It was a walk-in, the kind of pantry that was bigger than Zara's entire bedroom. He slammed the door behind them and engaged the lock. Darkness. The smell of spices and expensive coffee and Zara's own fierce sweat. The knife was still in her hand. Tommy's blood was on the blade. On her hands. She'd hurt someone. She'd stabbed someone. The reality of it hit her in waves, and she started shaking so hard she thought she might fall apart. I can't believe she started. Would you fight back if killers came for you? Drop a comment and let us know. And smash that subscribe button because this story is about to get even more intense. You did well. Ji-hoon was already moving in the darkness, feeling along the back wall with his uninjured arm. Most people freeze their first time. You acted. That is the difference between living and dying. I didn't want to act. I wanted to deliver food and go home and text my brother at midnight. Zara's voice was climbing toward hysteria. She could feel it happening, could feel control slipping away. This isn't my life. This isn't supposed to be my life. That life ended when you knocked on my door. His hands found what he was looking for, a hidden latch. The back wall of the pantry swung open, revealing a narrow corridor lit by dim emergency lighting. This way. You have a secret passage in your pantry? I have been in hiding for 6 months. I prepared for this. Ji-hoon pulled her into the corridor. It was barely wide enough for one person, with concrete walls that felt cold and final. This leads to the panic room. If we can reach it, we have a chance. What did you do? Zara asked, following him into the narrow space. Why do they want you dead? I testified against the Jade Dragon Syndicate. I thought the federal witness protection would keep me safe. I thought I could hide here, in this building, behind new identities and security systems. He laughed bitterly. I was a fool. The syndicate has long arms and longer memories. The pantry door exploded behind them. Marcus stood there, illuminated by kitchen light, his face completely calm. The butcher. 53 confirmed kills across 3 decades. He'd been doing this since before Zara was born. Clever, Marcus said, raising his gun. But not clever enough. Ji-hoon fired his last 2 bullets. One hit Marcus in the chest, but the older man was wearing a vest. He barely flinched. The second shot went wide as Ji-hoon pushed Zara deeper into the corridor. Marcus's return shot hit Ji-hoon in the side, and the Korean man grunted but kept moving, kept pushing Zara forward. Go, he shouted. The panic room is at the end. Code is 0823. My daughter's birthday. Go. Zara ran. The corridor was claustrophobic, pressing in on her from all sides. Behind her, she heard Ji-hoon collapse, heard Marcus's footsteps approaching. She should go back. Should help him. But Ji-hoon was shouting at her to run, and her legs were moving on their own, carrying her toward the steel door at the corridor's end. She punched in the code with shaking, bloody fingers. 0823. The door clicked open. She tumbled inside and spun around. Ji-hoon was crawling toward her, his white shirt soaked with blood. Marcus stood over him, gun pointed at his head. This was it. The execution. The end. Zara grabbed the first thing she saw in the panic room. A fire extinguisher mounted on the wall. She didn't think. Didn't hesitate. She pulled the pin and sprayed. White chemical foam exploded into the corridor. Marcus cursed, stumbling back, temporarily blinded. Ji-hoon used those precious seconds to drag himself across the threshold. Zara grabbed his jacket and pulled with everything she had, hauling him into the panic room. The steel door swung shut. Heavy bolts engaged automatically with a sound like a bank vault closing. They were safe. For now. Zara collapsed against the concrete wall, the fire extinguisher clattering from her hands. She was shaking so hard her teeth chattered. The knife was still somehow in her other hand, and she couldn't seem to let it go. Couldn't seem to unclench her fingers. "You are learning," Ji-hoon said weakly, trying to smile through the pain. His face was pale, sweat beading on his forehead. "Not bad for a delivery driver. Don't talk." Zara spotted a first aid kit mounted on the wall. She grabbed it, tore it open with hands that wouldn't stop trembling. "Just don't die, okay? I didn't stab a guy and spray another guy in the face just to watch you bleed out." She'd taken a basic first aid course once, years ago, when her mother was sick. But gunshot wounds weren't in the curriculum. She ripped open Ji-hoon's shirt. The bullet had hit him in the side, below the ribs. Blood pulsed out with each heartbeat. Too much blood, but not the arterial spray that meant immediate death. "Why did you testify?" Zara asked, needing to keep him conscious, needing to keep him talking while she pressed gauze against the wound. "Against the syndicate." "What?" Ji-hoon coughed, his face twisting with pain. "My daughter, Min-jun. She is 23. She wanted to be a doctor. I paid for her medical school with dirty money, and she found out. She said," his voice cracked. "She said she did not want anything from me if it came from hurting people. She cut me out of her life. Would not answer my calls. Would not see me. So you turned yourself in? I thought if I helped the police, if I testified, if I tried to make things right, maybe she would speak to me again. Maybe I could be a father she did not have to be ashamed of." He closed his eyes. "But the syndicate found me anyway. The FBI could not protect me. Or would not. Same result." Zara applied more pressure to the wound. The bleeding was slowing, but Ji-hoon's face was getting paler. "You'll see her again. You have to. You'll call her and tell her what you did. Tell her you tried to be better. You sound like you believe that." "I have to believe something," Zara's voice cracked. "Because if I stop believing, I'll fall apart. And Jamal needs me to not fall apart. He's probably at some party right now, having fun, being a normal college kid. And She looked around the concrete room. "I'm trapped in a panic room with a dying gangster on New Year's Eve." "Former gangster," Ji-hoon corrected with a weak smile. "I am retired. Your retirement plan needs work." A massive boom shook the panic room door. They were trying to break through. "Ballistic steel," Ji-hoon said, his voice getting weaker. "They will not get through easily." Another boom. The door shuddered, but held. "How long can it last?" Zara asked. "Hours. Maybe more." Ji-hoon shifted, trying to get comfortable, and winced. "Someone will have heard the gunshots. We'll have called police. We just need to survive until they arrive." "And if the police don't come?" Ji-hoon didn't answer. He didn't have to. Outside, fireworks started going off. Midnight was approaching. 2026 was coming whether they lived to see it or not. Zara finished bandaging Ji-hoon's wound as best she could, then sat back against the concrete wall. Her hands were covered in blood. Tommy's, Ji-hoon's, maybe some of her own from scrapes she didn't remember getting. The knife lay beside her, the blade dark with what she'd done. She'd crossed a line tonight. Stabbed someone. Hurt someone deliberately. She could never uncross that line. Could never go back to being the person who'd knocked on that door 30 minutes ago. "I was supposed to go home tonight," she said quietly, needing to fill the silence, needing to think about something other than blood and fear. Heat up some leftover pizza. Help Jamal study for his chemistry quiz. Watch the ball drop on TV. That was my whole plan. Simple. Easy. Normal. Life is what happens when you make other plans, Ji-hoon said, his voice barely above a whisper. "My father told me that. He was a fisherman in Busan. Honest man. Simple life. He died disappointed in what I became. My mother was a nurse." Zara wiped her eyes, leaving a smear of blood across her cheek without realizing it. She worked doubles, triples, anything to keep food on the table. When she got sick, when the cancer was eating her alive, she kept working. Because she loved us. Because that's what love looks like. It looks like sacrifice. Another boom on the door. Closer this time. They were using something heavier now. Testing weak points. Looking for ways through. "I'm scared," Zara admitted. "Good. Fear keeps you sharp." Ji-hoon pushed himself up to sitting, wincing with pain, but refusing to stay down. "Listen to me carefully. When they break through, and they will, you cannot hesitate. Ivan is the most dangerous. He is professional, trained. He will not make mistakes. You must eliminate him first." "Eliminate him? I'm just a delivery driver. You are a survivor. I saw it in your eyes when you stabbed Tommy. You have something to live for. That makes you dangerous." Ji-hoon pulled out his phone from his pocket, pressed it into her hand. "Password is 0823. My daughter's number is saved as Min-jun. If I do not make it." "Don't say that. If I do not make it, you call her. You tell her I tried. You tell her I died trying to be better. Promise me." Zara looked at the phone. "At this dying man's last request. I promise." The door boomed again. Metal grinding now. They were cutting through. Looking for the locks. Looking for a way to turn this safe room into a tomb. Zara's phone buzzed in her pocket. She pulled it out with shaking hands. A text from Jamal. Z, it's almost midnight, where are you? You always text by now. Getting worried. Tears blurred her vision. She wanted to text back. Wanted to tell him she loved him, that she was proud of him, that everything she'd done had been worth it because he was going to make something of himself. But what could she say? Tell him you are fine, Ji-hoon said softly. Tell him Happy New Year. That's a lie. Sometimes lies are kindness. Ji-hoon met her eyes. Give him this moment. Give him midnight without fear. If this goes wrong, he will have the rest of his life to grieve. Do not take tonight from him too. Zara typed with trembling fingers. Sorry. Crazy busy night. Big tips though. Happy almost New Year, baby bro, love you so much. You're my hero. 3 dots appeared. Then, love you too, Z. You're my hero. See you at midnight. Stay safe. See you at midnight, Zara whispered. But midnight was 4 minutes away, and she was trapped in a concrete box with killers trying to break through the door. We need a plan, she said, wiping her eyes. Better than just waiting to die. Ji-hoon nodded slowly. There is an emergency gas shutoff in here. For the kitchen lines. If we open it remotely, gas will flow backward into the corridor. And then what? We blow ourselves up. We crack the door. Create a spark. The explosion drives them back. We use the confusion to escape. That's insane. Do you have a better idea? Zara looked around the panic room. 10 by 10 feet. 1 exit. No windows. No vents large enough to crawl through. They were trapped. The only way out was through the door, and 3 professional killers waited on the other side. How do we create a spark? She asked. Ji-hoon pulled a lighter from his pocket. I quit smoking 6 months ago. Kept this as a reminder. Perhaps fate knew I would need it. Or perhaps fate is cruel and wants us to die in a gas explosion. Then we die fighting. Better than waiting here for Marcus to execute us. Ji-hoon showed her the emergency gas control, a valve that would open the kitchen lines. When I give the signal, you open this. Count to 30. That will fill the corridor with gas. Then you crack the door, I throw the lighter, and we run. What if it doesn't work? Then we die trying. But at least we tried. The door shuddered. A grinding sound of metal on metal. They were through the outer frame. Working on the locks now. Minutes away from breach. Okay, Zara said. Okay, we do this. But Ji-hoon, if we survive, you call your daughter. You tell her everything. No more hiding. If we survive, I will call her before the sun comes up. Outside, someone started counting down. 10, 9, 8. The building residents, celebrating New Year's Eve, completely unaware that people were dying floors below them. 7, 6, 5. Zara gripped the knife tighter. She wasn't the same person who'd knocked on door 2307. That person had died in the hallway. This new person, this survivor, would do whatever it took to see Jamal again. 4, 3, 2. The door lock broke with a metallic snap. 1. Now, Ji-hoon shouted. Happy New Year. Could you survive a night like this? Tell us in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe. This story is about to explode. Zara spun the emergency gas valve. A hissing sound filled the panic room as gas began flowing backward through the kitchen lines into the corridor. She started counting in her head. 1, 2, 3. Through the crack in the door, she could hear Marcus coordinating with Ivan and Tommy. Professional. Calm. Men who thought they'd already won. 10, 11, 12. They're through, Ivan's voice said. Breaching in 3, 15, 16, 17. Zara's heart hammered so hard she thought it might break through her ribs. The gas hiss continued. The corridor would be filling now. Invisible. Deadly. 1 spark away from turning into hell. 20, 21, 22. Ji-hoon was already positioned by the door, lighter in hand. His face was pale, his shirt soaked with blood, but his eyes were clear and focused. This was a man who'd survived 20 years in one of the most dangerous criminal organizations in Asia. He wouldn't die in a Seattle penthouse without a fight. 28, 29. Now, Ji-hoon whispered. Zara threw open the door and dropped flat. Ji-hoon flicked the lighter and tossed it into the corridor in one smooth motion. The world became fire. The explosion wasn't Hollywood massive. No building-shaking blast that threw bodies through windows. But it was enough. Flames filled the corridor, a rolling wave of heat and light. Marcus screamed, stumbling backward. Ivan dropped to the ground, his clothes smoking. Tommy, who'd been closest to the door, caught the worst of it. His jacket was on fire. Go! Ji-hoon shoved Zara through the flames. She ran through the fire, felt the heat singe her hair and skin, felt the smoke claw at her lungs. She burst into the kitchen, rolled across the floor, came up running. Behind her, Ji-hoon was right there, moving despite his wound, years of survival instinct overriding pain. Behind them, through the smoke and flames, Marcus's voice roared. Don't let them reach the elevator. Zara crashed through the destroyed apartment, past the spilled New Year's food that had started this nightmare, past the crystal vase she'd thrown, past evidence of the normal life she'd never have again. The front door was open, blown off its hinges by the earlier breach. She flew into the hallway. The elevator was there. Doors open. Like a miracle. Like fate offering one last chance. They threw themselves inside. Zara slammed the lobby button. The doors started to close. Through the narrowing gap, she saw Tommy stagger into the hallway, his jacket still smoldering, his face twisted with rage and pain. No, don't let them. The doors closed. The elevator dropped. Zara collapsed against the mirrored wall. Her reflection stared back, covered in soot and blood, hair singed, eyes wild with fear and adrenaline and disbelief that she was still alive. She looked like something from a war zone. She felt like something from a war zone. Ji-hoon slid down the opposite wall, his hand pressed against his wounded side. Blood seeped between his fingers. You did well, he said. Very well. Most people could not have done what you did. I didn't have a choice. There is always a choice. You could have left me in the corridor. Could have run while Marcus was shooting at me. But you came back. You pulled me into the panic room. That was choice. That was courage. The elevator descended. 5th floor. 4th. 3rd. They'll take the stairs, Zara said. They'll be waiting in the lobby. No. Ji-hoon pulled out his phone, made a call. Spoke rapid Korean. When he finished, he looked at Zara. I call my people. They will be here in 5 minutes. We just need to survive 5 minutes. 2nd floor. What if your people don't make it in time? Then we keep running. And you go home to Jamal. You tell him about tonight. You tell him his sister is a warrior. 1st floor. The doors opened onto chaos. The lobby was packed with people, residents coming back from parties, building security dealing with fire alarms, someone shouting about calling 911. The explosion had drawn attention. Finally, after everything, help was coming. But not fast enough. Through the crowd, Zara saw Ivan limping toward them, his leg wound bleeding but not stopping him. The surgeon, professional to the end. His gun was hidden but ready. This way, Ji-hoon grabbed Zara's hand and pulled her through the crowd. They pushed past partygoers in glittery dresses and tuxedos, past security guards shouting into radios, past the normal New Year's Eve celebration that continued around them like they were ghosts. They burst through the lobby doors into Seattle's night. The rain had stopped. The streets were packed with people celebrating, horns honking, people cheering, someone setting off fireworks that lit the sky in gold and silver. Midnight had passed. 2026 had arrived. And Zara was still alive. Where? She gasped. Where do we go? There. Ji-hoon pointed to a black Mercedes sedan pulling up to the curb. The passenger window rolled down, revealing a Korean woman in her 40s. Get in. Now. They ran. Behind them, Ivan emerged from the lobby, pushing through the crowd. He raised his weapon. A black SUV screeched between them and Ivan, blocking his shot. More of Ji-hoon's people. Men in suits moved with military precision, creating a barrier. Ivan assessed the situation with professional calm, then melted back into the crowd. Smart enough to know when he was outmatched. Smart enough to retreat and plan for another day. Zara collapsed into the Mercedes's back seat. Ji-hoon followed, and the car pulled away immediately, smooth and fast. Through the rear window, Zara watched the high-rise shrink behind them. Watched the scene of her near-death become just another building in the Seattle skyline. Who are you? The Korean woman asked, studying Zara in the rearview mirror. Wrong place, wrong time, Ji-hoon answered for her. She is innocent. Collateral damage. We need to get her home safely. The Jade Dragon Syndicate saw her face. I will handle it. She is off limits. I will make it known. The woman nodded and focused on driving. They wove through Seattle's New Year's celebration, past drunk people stumbling between bars, past couples kissing under streetlights, past a world that continued completely unaware that Zara's entire life had just changed forever. Where do you live? The woman asked. Zara gave her address. Then she pulled out her phone with shaking hands. Dozens of messages from Jamal. Happy New Year texts. Worried texts. Increasingly frantic texts asking where she was. She typed, I'm okay. Car trouble. On my way home now. Happy New Year, baby bro, love you so much. His response was immediate. Finally. Was about to call hospitals. You scared me, Z. Love you too. See you soon. See you soon. The Mercedes glided through Seattle streets while Zara sat in the back seat trying to process what had just happened. She'd stabbed someone. Escaped an explosion. Survived 3 professional killers. All because she'd knocked on the wrong door trying to make $75. Ji-hoon was on his phone, speaking rapid Korean. Coordinating. Planning. Even wounded. Even hunted. He was in control. This was a man who'd climbed to power in one of Asia's most ruthless criminal organizations. 3 hitmen weren't enough to kill him. Maybe nothing was. He ended the call and looked at Zara. You need to understand something. What happened tonight? It cannot follow you home. The Jade Dragon Syndicate is powerful, but they are also practical. You were a witness. An accident. I will make it clear that pursuing you brings them nothing but problems. They will leave you alone. You can do that? Just tell them to leave me alone. I still have leverage. Information. Files the FBI never found. Insurance I kept for moments like this. Ji-hoon winced, shifting his weight. The syndicate wants me dead, yes. But they want their secrets buried more. I will trade your safety for my silence about certain operations. And they'll just accept that? They are criminals, not monsters. They understand cost-benefit analysis. Killing a delivery driver who saw nothing important costs them resources and draws attention. Leaving her alone costs nothing. He met her eyes. You will be safe, Zara Phoenix. I promise you this. The car pulled up to Zara's apartment building, a rundown 3-story walk-up that looked even more decrepit next to the luxury Mercedes. Her broken-down Civic was still sitting 2 blocks away where it had died. That felt like a lifetime ago. Wait, Ji-hoon said as she reached for the door handle. He pulled out an envelope from inside his jacket and pressed it into her hands. For your trouble. For Jamal's school. For the life I interrupted. Zara opened it. Cash. More cash than she'd ever seen in one place. She tried to count, but gave up. Thousands. Maybe 10,000 or more. I can't take this. You can. You will. This is nothing to me. But to you? It is freedom from delivery apps. It is Jamal's tuition. It is time to breathe. Ji-hoon's voice softened. You saved my life tonight. You could have run. Should have run. But you fought beside me. That deserves more than money, but money is what I have to give. This is drug money. Crime money. This is survival money. And you need it. He gestured to her building. Go home. Hug your brother. Forget this night ever happened. Live your life. Zara clutched the envelope. She should refuse. Should throw it back at him and walk away clean. But she thought about Jamal's tuition bill. About her dead car. About 3 years of drowning in poverty while trying to give her brother a future. Thank you, she whispered. No, thank you. Ji-hoon pulled out his phone, held it up. 0823, my daughter's birthday. I will call her before sunrise. Because you reminded me that time is not infinite. That second chances do not wait forever. Zara nodded and got out of the car. She watched it pull away, merging into Seattle's New Year's celebration like it had never existed. Like the last hour had been a fever dream. She climbed the stairs to her 3rd-floor apartment, every step an effort. Her body was starting to register the damage. Cuts, bruises, burns from the explosion. Her arm throbbed where she'd been grazed by something. She couldn't even remember what. But she was alive. Impossibly, incredibly alive. Her key was still in her pocket. She unlocked the door. Jamal practically tackled her. Where have you been? I was about to. He stopped, really seeing her for the first time. His eyes went wide. What happened to you? Is that blood? Oh my God, what? I'm okay. Zara held him tight, breathing in the familiar smell of his cologne and the laundry detergent she bought in bulk. Real. Solid. Home. I'm okay, baby bro. I promise. You're not okay? You're covered in. He pulled back, his hands shaking as he looked her over. Did someone hurt you? Did someone? We need to call the police. We need to. No police. Zara guided him to the couch. Sit down. I need to tell you something. And you need to listen to all of it before you freak out. She told him everything. The delivery to apartment 2307. Kong Ji-hoon and the 3 hitmen. The panic room and the explosion. The knife in her hand and Tommy's blood on the blade. Jamal's eyes got wider with each sentence, his expression cycling through disbelief, horror, anger, and finally something that might have been pride. When she finished, silence filled their small apartment. Outside, they could hear people still celebrating, fireworks still popping in the distance. Inside, 2 siblings tried to process the impossible. You stabbed someone, Jamal finally said. Yeah. And escaped from professional killers. Yeah. On New Year's Eve. Yeah. Jamal ran his hands over his face. This is insane. This is actually insane. Are we safe? Are they going to come after us? Ji-hoon said he'd handle it. Said he'd make sure we're off limits. Zara pulled out the envelope. And he gave us this. Jamal opened it. His jaw dropped. How much is this? I don't know. A lot. Enough for your tuition. Enough to fix the car. Enough to breathe for a while. This is crime money, This is survival money. And we need it. Zara took her brother's hands. Jamal, I have been drowning for 3 years. Working myself to death for barely enough to keep us afloat. Tonight, I almost died for $75. $75. That's what my life was worth, what our lives were worth. So yes, this is crime money. But it's also the difference between surviving and living. And I'm tired of just surviving. Jamal stared at the money, then at his sister. Mom would want you in school. She'd want you to have opportunities. She wouldn't care where the money came from as long as you were safe and happy and making something of yourself. Zara's voice cracked. I don't care either. I just want you to be okay. Jamal pulled her into a hug. You're the one who almost died, and you're worried about me being okay? That's my job, worrying about you. They sat there for a long time, just holding each other. Eventually, Jamal pulled back. So what now? Do we just go back to normal? I guess so. You go to class. I get the car fixed. We pretend tonight didn't happen. Can you do that? Just pretend. Zara thought about it. About the weight of the knife in her hand. About Ji-hoon's blood. About the moment she'd chosen to fight instead of freeze. About discovering she had courage she never knew existed. I don't know, she admitted. But I'm going to try. The next 2 weeks passed in a strange fog. Zara went back to work. Different delivery apps, different routes. But she never took orders to high-rise buildings anymore. Never knocked on doors in expensive hallways. The nightmares came every night for the first week. Tommy's face. The explosion. The sound of gunshots. But slowly, they faded. She got her car fixed. Paid Jamal's tuition in full. Put some money away for emergencies. For the first time since their mother died, Zara could breathe without the constant weight of poverty crushing her chest. Jamal aced his chemistry exam. Made Dean's List. Started talking about medical school. Every day, he became more of the man their mother had hoped he'd be. But something had changed in Zara. She couldn't name it exactly. But when she looked in the mirror, she saw someone different. Someone harder. Someone who discovered what she was capable of when everything was on the line. 2 weeks and 3 days after New Year's Eve, Zara was making a delivery, regular neighborhood, regular customer, regular Thursday, when her phone rang. Unknown number. She almost didn't answer. But something made her pick up. Hello. Zara Phoenix. Ji-hoon's voice, stronger now. Healthy. I wanted you to know. I called my daughter. Zara's heart jumped. She pulled over, her hands suddenly shaking. And she hung up on me the first time. I called back. She answered. We talked for 4 hours. His voice was thick with emotion. She is angry. So angry. But she listened. And at the end, she said she would like to meet for coffee. Next week. Small steps. Ji-hoon, that's amazing. It is because of you. You reminded me that time is not infinite. That second chances do not wait forever. That courage is not just about fighting. It is about being vulnerable enough to try again. I'm glad. Really glad. How are you? The wound. Healed. I have good doctors. He paused. I have also taken precautions. The Jade Dragon Syndicate believes I am dead. Marcus, Ivan, and Tommy reported a successful operation. I made sure they had evidence, blood, witnesses who saw a body removed. Sometimes, being dead is safer than being alive. So you're in hiding? In a way. But you are safe. I made certain of it. Your name, Jamal's name, all of it was removed from their files. As far as the syndicate knows, you never existed. The weight Zara had been carrying for 2 weeks suddenly lifted. Thank you. It is I who should thank you. He paused again. I will not call again. This number will be disconnected after today. But I wanted you to know, you made a difference, Zara Phoenix. To me. To Minjun. Perhaps even to yourself. What do you mean? You discovered something about yourself that night. Strength you did not know you had. Do not waste it delivering food forever. You are capable of more. The line went dead. Zara sat in her car, holding her phone, feeling like she'd just closed a chapter of her life she'd never expected to open. Ji-hoon was right. She discovered something. But what was she supposed to do with it? 3 days later, an envelope arrived under her apartment door. No address. No stamp. Just her name in neat handwriting. Inside was a photograph. Ji-hoon and a young woman sitting at a coffee shop, both smiling. Minjun had her father's eyes. On the back, someone had written, "Thank you for the second chance. KJH." There was something else in the envelope. A business card. Phoenix Security Consulting. Personal protection. Crisis management. Training programs. At the bottom, we are hiring. If interested, call this number. Ask for Margaret Chun. Zara stared at the card. Phoenix. Her name. A security company. What's that? Jamal asked, looking over her shoulder. I think it's a job offer. From the Mafia guy? From someone who thinks I can do more than deliver food. Are you going to call? Zara looked at the card, then at the photograph, then at her brother. She thought about New Year's Eve, about the knife in her hand, and the moment she'd chosen to fight, about discovering she had courage she'd never known existed. Maybe, she said. Yeah, maybe I will. That night, she made the call. A professional woman answered. Phoenix Security. Hi, my name is Zara Phoenix. I received a card. We've been expecting your call. Can you come in for an interview tomorrow? Ah, yes. Yes, I can. Excellent. 10 a.m. Address is on the card. And Miss Phoenix? Mr. Kong speaks very highly of you. We're looking forward to meeting you. The next morning, Zara put on the one professional outfit she owned and took the bus downtown to an address in a nice part of the city. Phoenix Security occupied the 15th floor of a modern building. The lobby was sleek, with leather couches and abstract art. A receptionist led her to a conference room where 3 people waited. A sharp-eyed woman in her 50s introduced herself as Margaret Chun, former FBI. A man with military bearing was David Park, former Army Ranger. And Ji-hoon sat at the head of the table, looking healthy and professional in an expensive suit. Miss Phoenix, he said warmly. Thank you for coming. Margaret leaned forward. Mr. Kong has told us about New Year's Eve. About how you acted under pressure. How you fought when most people would have frozen. I was terrified the whole time, Zara admitted. Courage isn't the absence of fear, David said. It's acting despite it. That's rare. That's valuable. Margaret continued. Phoenix Security provides protection for people who need it. Domestic violence survivors, witnesses in trials, people whose lives are in danger. We need people who can stand between someone vulnerable and the threat. People who won't run when things get difficult. I'm not trained, Zara said. You're a survivor, Ji-hoon interrupted. Training we can provide. But courage, instinct, the ability to act under pressure, those cannot be taught. You have them. We can give you the rest. What would I be doing? First 6 months, full training, Margaret explained. Self-defense, threat assessment, firearms qualification, crisis management. Then you'd start with protective details. The pay is $60,000 a year during training. Benefits. Health insurance. Real career progression. $60,000. Zara's mind spun. She'd made $23,000 last year working 3 jobs. Why me? She asked. There have to be people more qualified. Qualified on paper, yes, Ji-hoon said. But that night, you could have run. Should have run. But you stayed. You fought. You pulled me into that panic room when you could have saved only yourself. That is who we need. Zara thought about her mother. About 3 years of grinding poverty. About Jamal's future. About the person she discovered she could be when everything was on the line. Can I think about it? She asked. Take a week, Margaret said. The offer stands. Zara went home and told Jamal everything. He listened, then said, Z, you've spent 3 years sacrificing for me. If this is what you want, if this makes you happy, then do it. For once, do something for yourself. It's dangerous. So was delivering food at 2 a.m. At least this way you'd be trained, paid, respected. Jamal squeezed her hand. You're my hero, Z. You always have been. But maybe it's time you were your own hero too. 3 days later, Zara called Margaret Chen. I'd like to accept the position. Welcome to Phoenix, Ms. Phoenix. 6 months later, Zara stood in a training room running scenarios with David. Her body was stronger now. Her reflexes sharper. She could disarm an attacker, assess threats, protect clients. But more than that, she was happy. Her first real assignment came on a rainy Tuesday. A woman named Sarah who'd left an abusive husband and needed protection during the custody trial. Zara picked her up, drove her to court, stood between her and the man who'd tried to destroy her. Thank you, Sarah whispered as they walked into the courthouse. For being here. For making me feel safe. That's what I do, Zara said. And she meant it. That evening, she met Ji-hoon for coffee. Min-jun was with him. They were having dinner together twice a week now, rebuilding what had been broken. How was your first day? Ji-hoon asked. Perfect, Zara said. Scary and perfect. That is life. Scary and perfect. He smiled. You know, I think about that night often. How one delivery changed everything. Me too. Do you regret it? Knocking on my door. Zara thought about it. Really thought about it. That night had been terrifying. She'd been hurt, traumatized, changed forever. But she'd also found purpose. Found strength. Saved a man who was trying to be better. No, she said finally. It was the worst night of my life. But it led to the best days. Then perhaps fate is not cruel. Perhaps it is simply unexpected. Zara drove home thinking about fate, about choices, about the random moments that change everything. She thought about the woman she'd been on New Year's Eve, exhausted, desperate, just trying to survive. And the woman she was now, strong, purposeful, protecting others instead of just protecting herself. When she got home, Jamal was studying. He looked up and smiled. How'd it go? Good. Really good. I'm proud of you, Z. I'm proud of you too. We're going to be okay, baby bro. We're finally going to be okay. That night, Zara dreamed of her mother, smiling and proud. She dreamed of the future, all the people she would protect, all the good she would do. She dreamed of second chances and the unexpected ways courage could change everything. And when she woke up, ready for another day of training, another day of becoming who she was meant to be, she wasn't afraid. She was ready. So what would you do if your ordinary night turned into a fight for survival? Would you run or would you fight? Drop your answer in the comments below. And if this story kept you on the edge of your seat, smash that like button and subscribe to our channel for more incredible true stories of survival and courage. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an upload. Share this with someone who needs to hear that ordinary people can do extraordinary things when life demands it. Thanks for watching. And remember, you're stronger than you think, braver than you believe, and capable of more than you know. Sometimes all it takes is one moment, one choice, to discover who you really are. Happy New Year, and stay strong out there.